Okay, so today I have Zach Asbell with me, and we are going to talk about myself as a real estate agent and Zach as a lender and what we're seeing in the market. And we're going to talk about 5 reasons why you would want to buy in the winter. So I'm going to let Zach kind of start it off, and then I'm going to add my 2 cents.
Yeah, so as we look at it, it happens every year where once kids are in school, temperatures start to go down. Buyers tend to say, okay, I don't want to buy anymore. I'm going to just hold off, wait till it gets warmer again, wait till the kids are out of school. We don't want to pull them in and out of school during a partial year or anything like that. And so oftentimes there's just fewer buyers that are buying in the wintertime. And so if there's fewer buyers, less competition means we're likely going to get a better deal on the house, right? Better purchase price and a bunch of different things. And so that's kind of the main reason why if somebody wanted to, they can almost say, hey, I'm going to kind of always buy a property during the winter so I get the discount of purchasing when nobody else or very few people are. So,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
something that I always encourage my clients. Like if they say, well, when is the best time to buy? And I'm like, when no one else wants to. So I would say the number one reason with to purchase a home in the winter is the fact that there is less competition because people are really kind of with the holidays, there's a lot of traveling, there's a lot of family. And in Utah with the snow, people really, really don't want to move in the snow when it's cold and wintry and it gets dark earlier. Like people really don't like that. This year has been an exception, and this year has not been as cold or as dark. So there's that about this year too, because there's a perception of winter, which has kind of stayed the same, but you don't have to worry about moving in the snow, probably because we have had such a mild winter. But I also see that when you do have listings come on the market and buyers out and about, they're more serious because, like, for example, a good serious buyer is an example of a listing I have right now. He is gotten to be a little bit older and he had a spill and realized that all the stairs in his house is just not going to work with the rehab that he had to do and his family intervening. They decided it's time to sell your house, dad. Like, so the family kind of jumped in and everyone made a plan. And dad's like, okay, so I'm working with him now, and we're selling his house. And we actually were willing to even accept an offer contingent upon someone else selling their house because it's slower. And when the offer came in, I said, you're not going to say no to an offer just because they have to sell their house. There is some safety net we put in place for him that is called a time clause, which means okay, we're going to accept you as a buyer, but we're going to still market it to other buyers. And if someone comes in and they don't have a house to sell and they're ready to just go, we'll put them in backup position, we'll notify you, our number one buyer, and give you 48 hours to remove that and buy it without selling the house, or you're going to have to step down, let new buyers step in, we'll put them in first position, but that hasn't happened. So we're still working with the one who's contingent upon selling their house. So that's a great opportunity to have that type of negotiation in a little bit less competitive market.
Right, because backup offers kind of disappeared, or being able to do that time contingency from like what, 2019, 2020 to about 2024, right? I mean, there, it just was kind of unheard of where it's like, well, we're not going to do a time clause. What do you mean? Either you qualify and you can buy the house, or like, we're not even going to look at your offer really. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's kind of a unique thing. I like it. Another thing, I was talking to a client today as well, and they finally found the home of their dreams and they're like, okay, this is the one, and they ended up putting it under contract over the weekend. And now that they're selling their home, they're looking at it saying, well, we were hoping to get 370 out of this home, but because we found the perfect one, we're a lot more negotiable on the price because we have all this equity. We'd be willing to take five, $10,000 less because we have the one that we really like and we don't want that to get away. And so that's how I always look at it too. Is like that's a perfect scenario for another buyer to come in and kind of, finesse and negotiate that deal such that they can kind of walk in with a little bit of equity and just really good terms because that seller's already found, their next step and they're kind of just already, in love with that next option. So
Yeah, there's a lot of motivation for them to sell. And that's one of the things that I explain to clients when they are both selling a home to purchase a home. You lose negotiation power when all of a sudden your motivation is to get where you want to go, right? So I'm like,
Right.
if they say, well, I want to get the most I can out of the sale of my house, I'm like, well, then we need to sell your house first, focus on that, get the most best negotiation on selling, then buy. But no one wants to do that. They want to buy first, know where they're going. But then, like you said, it does put them in a more negotiable spot as a seller. So there are lower prices out there. And like you said, in the last several years, I have not seen these kind of negotiations, but it's rampant right now. Everyone is accepting an offer contingent upon someone else selling their place because it's doable right now for the first time in a long, long time. So that is definitely lower prices and the ability to move from one to the next.
And we're kind of seeing this unique thing too, where if somebody's able to rent out their old home and move into the next one, they've got a little bit of an upper hand as well, because they don't have to do that, as well as the first time home buyer. In some ways, we're seeing the first time home buyer because they don't need to sell a home or rent a home. They're kind of able to go in there and be just a little bit cleaner than someone who does need to home that to someone who does need to sell that house. And so that just makes their offer that much cleaner and just much more likely to get a better negotiation too, where they don't have any contingencies.
Yeah,
So,
and when you're doing something like that, like I was just talking to someone right now and they're like, geesh, like we have this amazing rate. If we rented our house, we were looking at rents, we're going to be clearing about 1,800 a month because their payment is so low. They're like,
right.
we'll pay our payment and we'll have 1,800 a month. It makes total sense that they should keep it, right? That being said, as far as cash on hand, since they're not taking the equity out of the house, they're keeping the house, they really need the seller to be able to negotiate with them. And we talked about like in the form of closing costs, because a buyer is going to need, especially like in today's market, people are wanting to do buy downs and different things. So we can ask for, I have been asking for as much as like $15,000, and the sellers are saying, okay, and it's wrapped in the price and you're able to do that so that then you can have that cash in advance to go ahead and do a buy down, or it's not coming out of your pocket. And so I agree with you. It's a good option right now.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, for both buyers. I mean, just being able to go in there and just bring only the down payment in. Your escrows are set up by the seller's money. The buy downs are paid for, and the 2-1 buy down. We've been using that a lot this last year, where they're buying that interest rate down 2% the first year, 1% the second year, and kind of just buying a little bit of time for rates to continue to come down. We're kind of thinking that the tipping point is going to be in the end of February when we get a PCE report. We get one in January and then another one in February. But we're starting to see the shelter component of that inflation report come in because shelter's kind of been a little bit higher and we've been waiting for it to kind of cool off. And we're finally starting to see that happen. And in this PCE report specifically, I think 43% of it is made up of shelter. And so because it's such a big portion of that report, when that number starts to come down, the numbers really just fall pretty quick. And so we're thinking end of February is probably when we're going to get that next just little blip of interest rates moving down. So,
Yeah, and that'll be great. I know
right.
one of the other things that we talked about, like, is a faster transaction. Like, we were just talking about that, how, wow, like an appraiser can just get right on it. We're not like waiting in line to be assigned to an appraiser. They're like, hey, anyone got any work for me? And so when it gets assigned to them, they're Johnny on the spot. They're out there. Same thing with the inspectors. The inspectors are like waiting for the phone to ring. So when you want a quick inspection, they're really amicable. They're more flexible. It's like, when would you like it to do it? Get it done? How can I help you? Like, you're getting a lot, and they give you more attention and faster service for sure, for sure.
Right, you're probably getting a better overall report from both, right? From the
Yeah.
appraiser and from the inspector, as far as, them just having the extra 10, 20 minutes to go through a few extra things. And that's good. Love it. And then you were also telling me a little bit about being able to buy and sell simultaneously a little bit. Did you want to go into your specific story too, as far as what you're seeing there with your client?
Yeah, I do. And this is like it'll tell a lot about too what I believe in real estate because I believe that houses and people match. And I love that it's not about the four walls, but it's actually about like what that house is, what it signifies to the actual owners of the home, like love and peace, and it creates relationships because who your neighbors are becomes like kind of like your people, and how close you are to work also means how much time you have with your family, or there's so many things like whichever groups you're participating in, those becomes your circles, those become like your life. So it's all about lifestyle. And something that I love is that so I have a client and they were like, we will not sell our house until we know where we're going. We just won't. We won't sell our house out from under us. We're only going to make a move if we can buy first and then sell our house. And I said, okay, in today's market, we can do it. Let's do it. We went out, they found a house. They thought for sure it was our house. They fell in love with the house. We got it all under contract. We were so happy. The seller, of course, said, well, since you're contingent on the sale of your house and you don't have a buyer yet, and things are a little weird, we're going to go ahead and keep marketing it. So we get the house ready. It is phenomenal. This is a great little house. And we start getting people saying they want to put an offer. So I'm negotiating offers. And then I get a notification saying, okay, well, we got a cash buyer. Like, what are the odds? They like, we got a cash buyer. So you guys now have 48 hours to remove the contingency or you're not going to get the house. And it was pretty awesome. Like, I even negotiated, like, okay, if we get fully under contract, will you still honor it? And I even got him to be like, yeah, we'll still honor it. Well, in the end, like it just didn't work out. And we were devastated. The clients were devastated. I was devastated. Like it was no fun. And I just thought, man, we lost our house. And then I was like, no, I've never lost a client's house. I know there's something better out there for him. We took a beat because it was pretty brutal, it's very emotional. And then we had someone who had seen the house who wasn't one of the ones who was going to make an offer, but they couldn't stop thinking about it. They loved it. So we negotiated a buyer for their listing for the sale of their home. And we're all ready because we had that all good to go. And then we found like the one, like the house. And I swear to you, it was like 10 times better than the one that they were so sad about. And they were like, oh my gosh, what if we wouldn't have found this house? What if we would have gotten the other house? It was amazing to see that line up. And we are like ready to go. And we will be signing on the dotted line next week. And the crazy thing is that they'll go in to sign, they'll sign to sell their house, they'll turn around and sign to buy their house. So then everything, like they'll sell their house, then they'll get keys to their new house. They'll have a couple days to move and it'll just work out like exactly how they wanted to. So it is doable and it's a lot of fun. Even if like there was some sadness in the middle there, like in the end, like everything works out for a reason and it all comes together. So you definitely can in today's market, as of right now, do that. Okay, I'm gonna make an offer and then sell my house. And it is, I will say 100%. I would always encourage people, list your house, get under contract. You have the option to say, I will only sell my house to you if I found suitable housing. I think that's a safer way to guarantee that you'll get there. But I also believe that the universe, God, however you want to look at it, protects you and puts you where you want to be, right? Because
Right.
how many times has it happened where we've quote unquote lost the house and we've both been in a panic, we've both been so sad, but we had to do that so that they would do what needed to be done to get their house listed so that then we wouldn't lose the real house.
Yeah,
So
it's so funny that you bring that up because I can think of just multiple clients each year where it's like, yep, we lost the house, but man, we're so glad we lost that one because there was just such a better one that was, a better fit, better payment, whatever it might be. It was just, a few houses down,
well,
a few
and
houses
I
they had to look at and, eventually find that one. So,
Yeah, and I will mention it is very, very important who you work with. It is very important in today's market to have a professional team behind you. Unfortunately, the shift in this market and the need to have someone who really has skills in this market, I statistically, it went from having, and this is a national statistic, there was right around 16,000 failed transaction in a year. We jumped to right around 60 1,000 failed transactions. It shows like the instability in the market. People are freaking out about rates, and then they don't know what to do about buying and selling, and they don't want to leave this great rate. They don't want to do this and that, and and there's a lot of fear out there too. People who are traumatized from like my last house, I paid 50,000 over and it had a crap roof and it had like all these issues, but I had to get it that way. And so there are changes. I will say that it's very, very positive to be able to do an inspection and to be able to get some concessions on the inspection. That's the other thing is that we're back in a market where if the house has an issue, the seller is going to be willing to help you with it. And for example, that roof, even though they bought it and it was a crap roof, they understand, oh, I wish I would have been able to negotiate that. So there's even big things like a roof needing to be repaired. People are starting to have to understand like that is part of the purchasing process and we do have to figure out this roof. I can't just give someone my house with you know, a roof that's beyond its life expectancy. And then home warranties, when the market was so crazy, the sellers would not pay for a home warranty. So you didn't have that backing of, okay, well, the first year that I move in, if the water heater goes out, I've got this home warranty that's going to back me up and help me, right? And so now
Right.
everyone's very compliant and like, yeah, I agree with that. I'm going to give the buyer a home warranty. So there's been a lot more um just negotiations and it's more win-win versus people feeling like they're being completely taken advantage of. So it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I like where the market's heading too. I mean, I've been just digesting a lot of information, but I look at the next 4 to 5 years, and I think we still have another 4 to 5 pivotal years where the people that act are going to end up with a lot of equity gain, and the people that continue to sit on the sidelines waiting for, this or that to change are going to keep kicking themselves 5 years from now, saying, "Man, even 2024, 2025 was a great time to be buying a house because look at all the appreciation that comes from now until 2030, and everything like that." So it's going to be good. It's going to be a fun ride.
Agreed, 100%. And so my thing is, hey, if you're out there trying to be a part of the majority, waiting around, jump in the market, take advantage of the fact that you're going to have more opportunities now than if you wait with all those other sideliners and you all come in at the same time. Don't be one of them, get ahead of it. Lock in your price. You can refinance because we know the rates are going to come down. And then you're taking advantage of both sides. I know it's scary, and that's why only the best of the best are coming in. Only the ones that are willing to take the risk and are getting ahead of the game. Because what's going to happen is that it's going to change. It's going to change fast. It's going to feel like it's overnight. And then those people that are waiting, they're going to be with the big group. Prices are going to go up. And there's going to be that competition again. And you're not going to be able to do these fancy things. If you have a house to sell and you want to buy and you want to be able to move from one to the other, that's not going to be an option anymore. It will change as the market heats up. We still don't have enough houses for buyers in Utah. We don't feel it right now because there's so many people waiting, but as soon as they stop waiting, we will feel it again. So if you're one of those people, reach out to Zach, reach out to me. We would love to help you get to your next house. And we're very creative and we have many options for you. So thanks for watching today.
Thanks, Janet.